Hey there everyone, my name is Chantel, and for this Riviera PRO video, I'm going to be covering some more basic features of the Waveform viewer, such as browsing modes, using the find object or find value tools, and measuring signals with cursors. Knowing what tools you have at your disposal when it comes to waveform simulation will improve your overall debugging skills and experience. For this video, I am using Riviera PRO 2023. The tools in this video can be used for any design simulation waveform, but for demonstration, I will be using a sample design called Frequency Meter, and this can be found in the VHDL subset folder of the examples folder. Now I'll compile my design, no errors, and now let's initialize simulation. Select the top level entity, mine is testbench. And with simulation now initialized, I'm going to change my perspective from default to debug. In this perspective, there are a number of windows that can be used to optimize your debugging experience. To the right, we have a window dedicated to the hierarchy view, as well as datasets and classes. Right below it is a window for objects and drivers/readers. To the right of the console, there's a window dedicated to the watch, call stack, locals, assertions, and covers views. On the left side, there's a window for all the different types of breakpoints, and underneath that is a window for stimuli, aliases, and slices. Right now, I'm just focusing on the waveform viewer of my simulation, so I'll need to add some signals to waveform. Going back to the hierarchy area, you could see that when I click on an instance in the hierarchy, the objects window displays all the objects relative to the instance I clicked on. Now, I'm going to add signals to the waveform viewer by right-clicking on testbench, hover over Add To, and then click on Waveform recursively. Adding recursively adds all the signals from the selected hierarchy and its subregions to the waveform viewer. Now that I've got signals on the waveform, I'm going to switch over to the document perspective. This perspective lets you view the document or waveform in full, removing all the extra windows. And here we have our waveform viewer, and in it are 3 panes. On the left side is the object view pane. You can enable more column information by right-clicking at the top and selecting the info you want to see. You can click the top of these columns to sort your signals based on the information column clicked. To the right is the waveform view. This is where the visual waveforms for the signals will be, and the measurement of the signals can be determined by the timescale at the top. Lastly, towards the bottom, we have the cursor view pane. This is where cursors can be locked, added, or removed. Now that we have an idea of what the waveform viewer is like, I'm going to run simulation. After running simulation, the waveform results should appear in the waveform view pane. To zoom in and out to look at the waveform, you can use the Control key plus the scrolling mouse wheel. You can use the middle mouse button to click, hold, and drag to where you want to zoom in. There's also zoom buttons up here, like zoom to fit. And lastly, there's a zoom mode that works similar to the middle mouse drag and click option. If you want to browse through your signals, there are multiple ways you can do that. Highlight the signal of your choice, and then head over to this little drop-down button right above the timescale. Clicking on this will reveal different ways to browse through your signals, like rising edges, falling edges, and any events. If you have cursors, bookmarks, messages, or differences on your waveform, you can use this browsing mode selection to browse by those objects too. When you have a lot of signals in your waveform, like I do, you can use the Find Object tool located right next to the browsing options. In the Find Object tab, type in the name of the object you're looking for. For me, I'm going to be looking for all the LED objects. There's other options you could specify in this window to help with finding objects. Use the Find Previous or Find Next buttons to navigate through the different objects found if there were multiple results. If you're looking for a particular value within a signal, select the signal and click on Find Value, which is right next to Find Object. Both options are in the same Find pop-up window. I'm just going to look for 79 within this expected LED D signal. I'll start looking from the beginning, and now you can count or mark all the instances, as well as navigate to the next or previous occurrence of that value. The last thing I want to show is measuring your signals in the waveform. You can measure them using cursors. Going down to the cursor view pane, you can add more cursors by hovering over the pane area, right-click, and then click Add Cursor. You can click and drag all your cursors to wherever you need them to be. To measure distance between an event or between signals, click on a cursor to make it active, right-click, and then click Add Subcursor. As you can see, when I move around the subcursor, a measurement appears between the main and the subcursor. Moving around the main cursor will move the subcursor with it. And if you'd like, you can change the measurement unit to either frequency or time. And just like I mentioned earlier, you could use these cursors to browse through your waveform. And that wraps up this video. To recap, I've shown two different perspectives, debug and document. I showed how to measure signals, find objects or values, and browse through the waveform using different modes. Knowing these will only benefit you during your waveform viewer experience. Thanks for watching.